Hi everyone, it's Brian here. I'm going to be talking about check for understanding. It's going to be on page 142. So, to plan the format of your question ahead of time, the research shows that with setting specific goals, they're more likely to get a response. A small thing you could ask is there something else you need explained? Another thing you can do is plan everyone responds to activate during encouraged participation. So students who can respond non-verbally to demonstrate their understanding is a non-threatening manner and are much more likely to provide information. Another thing you can do is maintain visual contact with learners. It is important to watch the faces of the students and checking in for understanding of the question. Eye movement is also very important. You also want to provide adequate wait time. The pause is very important. It takes them a second for them to process the question. I myself, even being a proficient in English, sometimes I need a second to process what someone says to me, and I appreciate that when they give me a second chance or a second to wait. Another thing you need to do is be aware of the body language. Your body language can discourage or provide more activity and participation. It's good to maintain eye contact. Lean forward towards them if you can, and always put a big smile on your face. You can also reward students by asking questions for participation. Teachers who smile and say stuff like "that's a good question," um, asking them for more clarification, or saying like "oh, that's very interesting. Can you expand more?" Another thing you can do is continue to monitor the student understanding and use your questioning strategies. Um, you could use like post-it notes or 3x5 cards by getting their info down and seeing what they else may need. And once you examine these questions, you can evaluate these strategies and have them evaluate themselves as well. Um, you can also teach mini lessons who do, for those who respond slowly. You can have a small group and have them like how to respond lessons. Um, give multiple examples and make sure that the students understand the concept. You can adapt lessons based on students' English language developments. Be aware of the students' English language levels and keep track as they move on from level to level. If you're working with a group of students at varying levels of English development, plan for different strategies and levels. So the example I'm going to talk about is Mrs. Anderson, who teaches first grade in an inner city school. Um, her ELL students are always reluctant to respond to questions. Um, so she works in small groups and she asks questions like, "What color is your coat?" And she wants the students to respond with stuff like, "My coat is red." When she wants to check for understanding, she calls red card, green card, which she gives to students and then poses a question. Um, and if the answer is true, they hold up the green card, and if it's false, they hold up the red card. When she's, for example, when she's ready to read a story aloud, she makes statements about the story, and then the kids use the following cards, the red and green cards, to show. So you can check for their understanding, and for those who don't respond immediately, um, they don't really know, and then kids that are looking for um, their neighbors, you can tell that they're not getting it ready, so you can judge how the class is doing from there. She also uses show me cards, so she gives them letters and has them put out words together, and they can work with their neighbors to finish this as well. Um, because Mrs. Anderson expects all students to respond to questions, she teaches them how to respond. She instructs her students on new strategies. She observes and takes careful notes, and she knows when students don't get the concepts. She uses quick responses and quick notes, um, a positive sign, a minus sign, and slow responders with a question mark. She makes this checklist to make sure to understand where each of her students stands in the class. I would like to use the red card, green card strategy. Uh, I think it's a very smart way to silently go about where each student stands on each question. Um, it'd be non not it'd be a good way to gauge how quickly students get the concepts. So I want to be teaching health. So I would ask examples of like which foods would be healthy and have the red card, green card ready for that. The TSOL I'd want to use is use verbal responses to ask for clarification or answer questions. I want my students to be able to vocalize any questions they have, and I want to create an environment where they feel comfortable doing so. And I would like to have certain responses that they have readily in front of them so that they can use those right away if needed without any hesitation. Yeah, that'll conclude it, guys. Thank you for listening.